Okay, hello everybody. Hopefully we'll get a couple of people in, but if not, that's fine. I just wanted to go ahead and give you all a quick update on the trial of Shawn C. Cranston, the 53-year-old that has been charged with criminal homicide of an unborn child, burglary, and criminal trespass in connection with the February 26, 2024 death of 23-year-old Rebekah Byler and her unborn child. Jury selection was yesterday. A jury was seated, and the trial got underway at about 1 p.m. yesterday afternoon. So let's dive right into the updates. We have a trigger warning. Some details discussed may be graphic in nature. This is a murder trial. No victim photographic evidence will be shown. June 9 and 10, 2025, the trial begins. The trial of Shawn Christopher Cranston opened Monday in Crawford County Common Pleas Court, with prosecutors outlining a technology-driven case and the defense cautioning jurors not to be overwhelmed by evidence in the murder of pregnant Amish woman Rebekah Byler. As the trial began, Cranston, wearing a gray suit with a black shirt and tie, was escorted in and out of the courtroom by the sheriff, with a deputy behind him and another in front. About 10 members of the Amish community were in attendance. In his opening statement, Commonwealth Attorney General Kevin Scheibel told jurors that Cranston was not that clever. In trying to cover his tracks, while Cranston may have left his cell phone behind to avoid tracking, Scheibel said GPS data from his red Jeep Patriot shows he was at the Byler residence when Rebekah was murdered. Trigger warning. He shot her in the head and slit her throat, Scheibel told the jury, describing how Cranston killed the young mother while her two small children were present in the home. In the opening statement, Commonwealth Attorney General Kevin Scheibel told jurors that Cranston was not that clever, as I stated previously. He shot her in the head and slit her throat. The prosecutor outlined key evidence, including surveillance video showing Cranston's movements that day, GPS data placing his vehicle at the scene, and physical evidence linking him to the crime. A piece of a black nitrile glove found in the Byler's trash can contained DNA, while similar gloves with Cranston's DNA were found at his home. Nike shoe impressions found outside the pristine Amish home matched those later seized from Cranston's camper, while tire impressions in the driveway matched his Jeep's tires, according to the prosecution. The defense urges caution with evidence. One moment, please. Defense attorney Louis Emmy warned jurors not to be swayed by the volume of evidence, comparing the state's case to a pyramid that becomes unstable if parts are missing. Don't be overwhelmed with the evidence. This is a tragic case. But emotion has to be removed, Emmy said. A man's life is in your hands. Common sense to make a decision. Use common sense to make a decision. Andy Byler, the victim's husband, was the first witness called by prosecutors. He described the morning of February 26, when he left home around 8:30 to scout roofing jobs with his neighbor, Dan Byler, and their driver, Julie Warner. When he returned home around 12:15 p.m., his children ran out saying someone was there and had killed their mother. I walked to the sidewalk, took my shoes off, and walked to the door to go in. I saw her cap on the floor, Byler testified. explaining that he ran to the barn to get Warner. Byler confirmed that a black safe about 20 inches wide and 2 feet high was missing from the home after the murder. Hello, Plain Truth. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Just giving a update of the trial. Today was day 2 of the trial of the local Amish woman that was brutally murdered in her home in front of her 2 small children. So prepare yourself for that. Some of the information may be a bit brutal. First responders described the crime scene. Pennsylvania State Police Trooper Jason Chamberlain, the first officer to arrive at the scene around 12:30 p.m., testified about finding Rebekah Byler lying on her back in a large pool of blood with a large wound above her left eye and no blood on her hands, indicating she did not attempt to cover the wound to her neck. Chamberlain said he immediately searched the house and barn for other victims or suspects, but finding none. The home was described as well kept and not in disorder. Forensic specialist Trooper Shawn C testified about the methodical crime scene investigation over 2 days. The home was described as pristine and very clean and organized, making the Nike shoe impressions on the floor particularly notable in an Amish household where shoes aren't typically worn indoors. Sedler testified about collecting evidence, including a piece of black nitrile glove found in the kitchen trash can, which has a distinctive fish scale pattern and was sent for DNA testing. The shoe prints found in the house were similar to those on shoes seized from Cranston's camper, Sedler said. During cross-examination, Emmy questioned whether the evidence could have been contaminated and noted that not all nitrile gloves have the same pattern. Here's an example of what the evidence may look like. Again, this is not actual evidence or actual photos of the evidence in the trial. Items entered into evidence. Death certificates, 911 call entered into evidence. Prosecutors also entered into evidence the 911 call made by Warner, which jurors listened to. The death certificates for both Rebekah Byler and her unborn child. Rebekah's death certificate listed the cause as a lethal gunshot wound to the head, while the unborn child's demise was due to the abrupt mother's death. In addition, the jurors were shown photos of the red Jeep belonging to Cranston, in particular the tire treads. Additional witnesses were called on July 10th, today. Witnesses called on Tuesday morning included Daniel Byler, the Byler's Amish neighbor, Warner, Andy Byler's driver, Ida Miller, nearby resident who went by the Byler house in a buggy on the day of the homicide, Rebekah Byler, Rebecca, Rebecca, a neighbor, friend of the victim, who lived just down the road from Andy and Rebekah. Trooper Brad Romancic, who was tasked with locating and taking photos of Cranston's Jeep, Michael Sweet, who was in the area and noticed a red Jeep in the victim's driveway, Dan Miller, who experienced a home robbery on January 5th, 2024, Lester A. Byler, who experienced a home robbery on February 9th, 2024, Trooper Jared Thomas of the Pennsylvania State Police Tactical Intelligence Unit, who performed a trash pull from the garbage cans at the road in front of Cranston's residence, and Clara Wingard, an Amish woman whose father's driver was Cranston before his son, John Cranston, took over. The trial, being prosecuted by the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, is expected to last for several days. If convicted of all charges, Cranston could face life imprisonment. Judge Francis Schultz reminded jurors not to discuss the case with anyone and not to form opinions until all evidence has been presented. And here is a list of sources. If you would like to take a look at the docket information and all the filings that have been in this case, local and national news reporting, as well as the local news outlets, of which one is covering, which is the Quarry Journal. This is not a televised murder trial. There is limited seating. There was written requests put in for some type of on-scene type reporting within the courtroom, but those were denied. So we are relying on the 3 reporters that are in the courtroom during the testimony, as well as several members of the public that happen to be in the courthouse as well. As I receive information, I will keep you all updated on this. My personal feelings are that this is strong evidence, and quite frankly, I believe he is guilty and that he should face the maximum penalty allowed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. If anybody has any comments, please leave them below. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I thank you all for stopping in, and I will see you all in the next one.